I'd like to tell you a story about a couple of kids. Their names were Ben and Doogie. Every day, Ben would run out to play with Doogie, and play they would. The only unusual thing about this is Ben was a dog and Doogie was a dolphin. Don't believe me? The story's on YouTube. This story, and many others like it, caught my interest and drew me further into the animal world. I've always had a keen interest in animals. I had pet mice as a kid, and I begged my parents for a pet bat. In school, my reports, when allowed, were always centered around little-known animals. Now I volunteer at a local animal shelter for their fundraisers, and I am a committed member of Sea Shepherd. As an avid documentary viewer, I have been exposed to the cruelty and abuse caused by animal testing. I believe that animal testing is wrong because it causes pain, it is unnecessary and ineffective, and the majority of Americans are opposed to it. Today I would like to talk to you about the Doogies and the Bens of the world and their right to live their lives free from the abuse and cruelty of animal testing. First, let's discuss how animals feel pain just like humans do. In July of 2012, a group of neuroscientists got together at the University of Cambridge to create the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. The documentary itself was written by Dr. Philip Lowe, a renowned computational neuroscientist, and it was signed by 200 renowned neuroscientists. The document itself declares that animals, because of their neuropathways, are very similar to humans. They show mirror recognition, they have a hierarchy, they protect each other and long for companionship. When in danger, they show the same fight or flight reflex as humans, and, probably most importantly of all, they feel pain. They hurt. The fact that they feel pain is more extensively discussed in the December 2016 issue of National Geographic by evolutionary biologist Mark Bekoff. Second, animal testing is ineffective and unnecessary. There are those who would argue against this, however. Stanford, one of the largest hubs for animal research in the United States, posted on their website in 2018 that they believe there is a place for humane animal research. The scientists at Stanford answer to a strict panel that follows a certain protocol for their experiments with animals. One of the rules they follow is that experiments done with animals have to be reviewed, and the experiments themselves have to prove that animals in them are necessary. Those at Stanford also argue that only a small percentage of animals are used in testing. This was all posted on their official website in 2018. The National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine also have a similar point of view. They argue that animal testing is used when knowledge cannot be obtained any other way. They also believe that society has deemed it unethical to use medication or medical operations on humans before first testing them on animals. This is found on their website in 2011. In a Washington Post article published on September 25, 2017, Scott Gottlieb, the Commissioner for the Food and Drug Administration, states that there will always be a place for animal research, especially in fields such as the development of childhood vaccines. Not everyone agrees with these arguments, however. The National Anti-Vivisection Society, in a post on their website in 2018, argues that while animals are very similar to human beings in some ways, there are major cellular differences that can cause disastrous results in experiments. For example, on Arizona State University's official website, in a post on March 2015, the drug thalidomide is discussed. Thalidomide was tested extensively on animals before being approved for use on pregnant women. The results? An astonishing number of babies being born with birth defects. More recently, Dr. H. Shaw Warren was interviewed in the New York Times on February 11, 2013. Dr. Warren is a sepsis researcher. Sepsis is a condition in which the infected body is attacked by its own immune system. It can be potentially fatal. Dr. Warren discussed 150 drugs that had been tested successfully on animals, but they failed completely when used on human beings. Most recently, in the Washington Post, in an article released on November 27, 2017, a class of drugs used to calm Alzheimer's patients down was discussed in detail. Like other medicines mentioned, it was tested successfully on animals before being used on human beings. In the Alzheimer's patients, it was shown to show an increased risk in death. These are not the only stories of animal testing's ineffectiveness. There are many more. As I mentioned previously, some believe that there will always be a place for animal testing in the field of developing childhood vaccinations. I can appreciate that. My aunt developed polio when she was 14. This affected her life deeply. But since then, since the 1950s, when the vaccination for polio was developed, vaccinations have been developed without testing on live animals. For example, Maurice Hillman, who developed over 40 vaccinations for animals and humans alike, he used chicken embryos for his work. But most notable of all, for the mumps vaccine, he used a swab and harvested the live virus from his infected daughter. No chicken embryos, no animals, just the live virus. This can be found in more detail in the authorized biography Vaccinated by Paul Offit, a highly respected infectious disease specialist. In addition to being ineffective, though, animal testing is also unnecessary. The National Institutes of Health discussed in a post on their official website in 2014 that there are many viable alternatives to animal testing, some of which include growing cell cultures in a dish, harvesting human tissue, both diseased and healthy, using computer models with data already available, and most importantly of all, human volunteer studies. There have been, additionally, discoveries and developments without the use of animal testing. These include aspirin being used for pain, laughing gas being used in the dentist's office, and the main features of Alzheimer's in the brain. These were found on Cruelty Free International's website, among many others. Lastly, Americans are against free animal testing, according to data found in a Pew Research poll published in 2017. It shows that most people are against animal testing, with opposition numbers still growing, especially in young people ages 18 to 29. There is a small group of people with college degrees in the sciences, who seem, according to the data, to be in favor of animal testing. But this is only by a small margin. And those with science degrees who are opposed to animal testing are steadily becoming the main numerical dominant group. Now you know why I am against animal testing. It is painful, it is ineffective and unnecessary, and the majority of Americans are against it. I am asking you to join those of us who fight against the cruelty and abuse of animal testing. Take the first step. Visit the National Anti-Vivisection Society's website for a list of products not tested on animals. Choose these products. I leave you with a thought. The great Mahatma Gandhi said, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged based by the way it treats its animals." How will our nation be judged? And how will you affect that judgment?